So, greeting, Professor. It is Sardorkhon Sulaymonov from the group 6K, reporting on making presentation on the topic of precarious manhood. So, let's begin. But before that, I wanted to know that the following presentation, that while doing research, I came up to a conclusion that not many people are educated properly on this topic. So taking matters into my own hands, this presentation is made in educational format. So yeah, let's proceed. The class shuttle, how this class going to be? First, we're going to discuss what is a precarious manhood. Second, why it is caused, the role of aggression, the consequences, why it is still relevant, and how to best deal with that. And I'll finish it with my personal remarks. So let's proceed. Introduction. What is a precarious manhood? The precarious manhood is the idea that manhood is seen as a precarious social status, precarious meaning fragile social status that is both difficult to achieve and tenuously held. So compared to womanhood, which is not caused, but typically viewed as resulting from mental, biological, and developmental transition, manhood must be earned and maintained through publicly verifiable action. That is the core idea, because this is all caused due to men feeling anxiety over their gender status than women do, particularly when gender status is uncertain or challenged. So yeah, this can motivate to a variety of risky, maladaptive behaviors, as well as avoidance of behaviors that might as well prove beneficial. And that explains a lot of phenomena that happen in the world. Not even world, but phenomena caused by psychological developments. So yeah, what it means to be a man. There are actually two answers for that. First one, it is believed that manhood is the act of showing strength, bravery, and overall showing masculinity and constantly proving that to others. Of course, I'm talking about in the context of toxic masculinity. So yeah. And the second answer lays in the anti-feminine mandate. As you can see from the name, it implies on rejecting everything feminine. And that is viewed as a core component that certifies the manhood. But before that, but yeah, why it still happens? To understand that, we need to first understand the meaning of the term manhood or womanhood itself. So to be a woman is as plain as it sounds. It's just to be a woman. And once a female girl is born, her status is rarely challenged, and once earned, it is secure. But manhood is different. It is often associated with toughness and bravery, and is one of constant anxiety especially propose that people view a very state of manhood as precarious social status, as hard-won and easily lost, and requires uh, constant continued demonstration of proof by the others. And the most interesting thing that it does not come from inside, but rather from the others. So yeah, the whole idea of that is that womanhood is assigned, but manhood is earned. So yeah, but to move further, uh, what are the three main components of the theory? I like to call them pillars. So the first idea is that manhood is widely viewed as an elusive, achieved status that one must be earned, in contrast to womanhood, which is ascribed or assigned. Second is that once achieved, manhood status is tenuous and impermanent, that it can be lost or taken away. And third is that manhood is confirmed by others primarily and requires public demonstration of proof. So yeah, but it begs the question, why it is caused? And of course, there are two main answers. First is biological, and second is psychological. We will, of course, start with biological because it is the root of the problem, because it is the root of the whole uh, interaction. So it is believed that the desire to propagate or to pass on their genes is the main driver. But females, yes, though males want to pass on their genes, females do not want to propagate with any male. There's of course they're picky. They're very picky about that, and there is of course a reason to that, but we're not going to talk about that for today. Now we're going to stick with that. So the fact is, the females gonna choose a male with a high social status. But how to achieve a high social status? Through masculinity. You see how it goes, right? So yeah, the second is psychological. Uh, I personally believe that it came from our ape ancestors, that men are more anxious about their gender identity because they used to live in small groups, and in that groups it was vital to show their masculinity in order to achieve higher social status. And it is of course by hierarchical structure of our of the male interactions. You can understand it like that, as a pack of roosters, the chickens. They're gonna fight, they're gonna pack until they realize who is the dominant chicken, who is the boss. And that is the best example there is. So yeah, and what aggression has to do with all of that? Aggression viewed as a tool, primarily, as a manhood restoring tactic. It is always seemed as the fastest way to earn / prove manhood, to establish dominance and a powerful message to others not to challenge one's manhood ever again. And so yeah, it to all things discussed, it caused a lot of things. First, it also gives risk taking, threat vigilance meaning responsiveness to responsiveness to being challenged. So yeah, if risk-taking, threat vigilance, and the strive for status is a gasoline, violence is a spark that sets us all on fire, and now that causes a lot of problems. Yeah, um, to give an example on that, um, you've probably seen a lot uh, or noticed at school or anywhere else that men tend to fight more than girls. It, so why does happen? Because they want to understand who is the boss or establish dominance and to see who is the leader. That is the reason why we fight so much. So yeah, but it all bear consequences. Oh yeah, not supposed to see that, but yeah, it all bears the consequences. Because males were dominant power in the human structure for 5 millennia by that point, uh, the psychological issues of the humanity of the males spilled out into the humanity itself. It caused it is the root of all negative of a lot of negative male social behaviors such as gender stereotypes, toxic masculinity, sexism, domestic violence, uh, even self-hurting acts as example of harmful masculinity, homophobic attitudes and behavior, as well as prejudice against women, gender bias violence, sexual assault, gun violence, drug abuse, and so much more. But why is it still relevant? Though it can be understood that for apes it was vital. We're humans after all. Why shouldn't we be different? But though the times have developed, our monkey brains stay the same. Uh, that is one of many inputs, and there's also and there's also a huge part of media because there for some individuals or industries, separation of genders is really beneficial, and they try to manipulate and promote that through media, through films, male fashion designs, gyms, movie industry, military, gun shops, car manufacturers, and so on, because it all brings money. That's why it is still popular. So yeah, though we now understand why it is, I think we should seek the ways how to cure that, because I personally think it's pathology. So in the long term, uh, it bears a lot of health problems because suppressing one's emotions for a long time does not bring any positive posi- positive effect on health, uh, and causes a lot of mental and physical health problems like depression. Uh, Also, it also alienates all the other people, uh, leading to the certain person who bears the precarious masculinity traits to feel lonely, hostile to others, and never likely to have a benefit of strong, loving social bonds, healthy bonds. Thus, they need to go through an extensive therapy, psychological therapy, to help them overcome these issues. And it can be overcome, or it can. So, yeah, but it is in the long term. But in the short term solutions, I would like to focus more on how to prevent the negative effects of toxic masculinity on ourselves. So yeah, it can be really hard to avoid that kind of person, and especially someone tries to socially challenge a male, and how to deal with that problem, because we cannot let it all happen. And the safest way I know is through humor. It greatly diffuses the situation while robbing the aggressor of the ways to give a harm to a person trying to protect himself, and also keeps one's social status intact. So the example for that is President Lincoln. Once in a Christmas Eve party, they were just hanging around, having fun, and a certain man wanted to challenge the president. He came up to him and said, "Mr. President, don't you think that your legs are far too long?" And the president, looking at him, replied, "You know what? I kind of actually I found them to be the perfect height to reach the floor." And after that, everyone started laughing. The guy went pissed off because he could not achieve his goal. The situation was diffused, and Mr. President still held to his social status. So that is the safest way to resolve the conflicts. There's also a really useful graphic on the internet that shows stereotype, precarious masculinity traits and the relevance in a certain country. It is divided first by the level of beliefs or in precarious manhood and the gender equality in a certain country. As you can see, Pakistan has kind of believes a lot in toxic masculinity and has really low gender equality. So yeah, you see that. And there's also Finland that has really low stereotypes towards how manly man should be, and has really good gender equality in the country. I will link it in the comments so you can review that more. So yeah, personal remarks. I believe that precarious manhood is a social and psychological illness, and it needs to be cured. It leads to a lot of problems, especially to young males who are really susceptible to that. And almost every male goes through that phase, but some stay in that. In fact, a lot of people stay in that position, and it is mostly caused due to lack of education, not just written education, but also psychological education. So I believe that we need to teach and increase awareness of the children on this topic to help them to become a healthier and better man, not just man, as a better and healthier humans. So here are the references, and thank you, Professor, and have a great day. My presentation is over.